Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us for this late breaking news. We have been covering this on the noon and on our streaming services, but right now we're cutting in because there is a pretty big grass fire that is continuing to spread at 37 in Southton. That's in South Bexar County. You're taking a live look at this. We have a crew on scene, have for about an hour or so. You can see this black smoke is trailing in a certain area, but because these flames got so high, the wind is so heavy, they have cut off traffic to the area and they have evacuated people in the area. We just recently got an update from Bexar County. They've posted on social media that this area at 37 in Southton has had property damage. We don't know what property was damaged, but you can see these flames. The wind has it blowing sideways, and this black plume we were talking about during our streaming cast, this is new. This is a new spread area. So we have seen it kind of jump from place to place. Justin Horn is with me now and has been keeping track of this as well. Justin, you originally saw this on our TransGuide camera during our noon newscast.
Yeah, it happened very fast, and you can see the flames are just, really moving with the wind there, and that's where you have this concern. It's going to be so hard for firefighters to get this under control. It looked like at one point they did, but we still have active flames there, and that's concerning, and it's in several different spots, and you can see the wind is just whipping that brush around. You can see how dry everything is too. So all these things really combining to make for a very serious fire threat today, and unfortunately we're starting to see some of that happen. What I'd like to do, let's go to a live cam real quick. I have that pulled up on our weather graphics, and we can show you kind of the big pictures we look out over the city, and there is some kind of smoke and haze and dust in the air. We can't see that fire from this vantage point, but again, as Courtney pointed out, it's in southern Bexar County. And we're starting to see a few more signatures across the area where we can see potentially some grass fires taking shape. It's 75, but we've got westerly winds at 22, gusting higher than that. We've got really dry air, and that is the problem. Look at the current wind gusts, 41 here in San Antonio. We continually have seen gusts 40 plus. 52, the gust in Hondo. It's gusting now to 60 in Del Rio. Those numbers had come down and now it's back up again. So we know over the next several hours, we're going to continue to see winds like this, and it's going to make any fire that develops very, very difficult to control. And we have a few going at the moment, most notably out in Valverde County and the one that you just saw here in Bexar County. And we may have a few more popping up. The thing about it is too, all it takes is a really good wind gust to take down a power line. You get the spark, and then this is the end result. These fires can start in a heartbeat, and those flames are still going. Now, when do these winds die down? When might we see some relief? It's going to take until dinner time for that to happen. Probably after 5 or 6 o'clock, we'll start to see the winds come down. But until that point, what you're looking at there, those bars represent wind gusts. We're going to continue to see gusts close to 40 miles per hour through, I'd say, 4 or 5 o'clock. So it is until that point that there's still going to be scenes like this, unfortunately, with what we're dealing with there in southern Bexar County.
Yeah, and on your left side of your screen, you're seeing this emergency vehicle kind of going right where those flames are. We saw, and during our noon newscast at about 12:30, when we saw this fire start jumping around, it took about 10 minutes or so for us to see those emergency vehicles like this from the county come in there. But it shows what a huge priority this is, because the update that we got just about 20 minutes ago is that the San Antonio Fire Department and ESD is now handling the situation. They are the leading agency. They have a lot of resources. So it just shows Bexar County calling in the San Antonio Fire Department to lead on this is a big deal. It kind of shows the scope of this, and it's pretty obvious when you see this. Obviously, they reported that this fire is due to high winds, and if you this is a line now. See that black plume of smoke on the left? We can just see this working its way to the left of your screen, and this brush is so dry. So you can almost see these flames like little dots in a row. And Justin, I know that we watched that during the noon show, and it's just continuing, unfortunately, to spread with this wind. You said 41.
Yes, that's the latest gust, and it's been consistent. Over the last couple of hours, and this is exactly what we were afraid of. I'm not sure if we're able to do this, guys, but if we could go over to links 2, I can also show you where we have a satellite picture, and we can basically pick up some heat signatures. And what this is doing is where we see those heat signatures is where we likely have some grass fires. That is the one that we're watching there with that live picture. But we're starting to see another one potentially develop right here on the Bear and Atascosa County line. We had another, it's very faint, but another one there close to Sutherland Springs. We also had another small signature down near Pleasanton, and yet another one out near Del Rio. But these are the two that are kind of looking as though they might be the most robust at the moment. And that one there on the Atascosa-Bear County line starting to take a little more, it's starting to take on a little more color, which tells me this could be a growing grass fire. So let's switch it back to the live shot if you'd like, so we can see exactly, again, what is going on out there. And the flames still going, Courtney. Yeah,
and our photographer who's out there, Luis Cienfuegos, had a great idea to get up at that apartment complex and get those flames, but obviously these areas are what's being evacuated. So, and talking about those evacuations, even if there's, you're at a high area, that those apartments looked like they were several stories high, these flames can quickly jump. And we were talking about traffic dying down a little bit in that area since the smoke got worse over the last hour or so. These flames can jump a road when conditions are this dry, when the brush, this is not short brush, this is very tall, and there's that apartment complex right there. It looks like it's about 4 stories. So given how fast this is moving, it's not a surprise that they've evacuated that area. We did see some people earlier with Luis, and they were kind of hanging over their balcony looking at what was going on. So it's good to see that people have been removed from the area just in case, because we've seen this whatever rural road that is over there. We know that it's done up, which is the one that, the authorities have said to stay away from. But at this point, I think the smoke is heavy enough that people are getting the picture, they see it, and they're not going to drive towards that.
Well, and I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I believe that this fire is on the west side of Interstate 37. So some of that smoke's probably blowing across Interstate 37 as well. You have to think about reduced visibility. We've got some dust in the air too. So these are all things that we are tracking. Now, I will show you the peak wind gusts over the last 24 hours have been nothing short of impressive. We had a gust of 44 here in San Antonio, but most notably a gust of 62 out in Del Rio. So these winds have been no joke, and they've come along with this very low humidity, and those two things combined have made for just a extreme fire threat today. The National Weather Service this morning used the word historic, just the way the setup was today, and unfortunately I think we're starting to see the results of that. If we could, I want to show what's going on across the state. It's not just us, okay? We have red flag warnings in effect from Lubbock down to Corpus Christi, Brownsville, Houston, and you can see, by the way, the firefighters are actively trying to fight this fire. These are some brave men and women, let me tell you, because they're driving right into the flames right now, and they're doing just incredible work there as they try to get this under control. It is not going to be easy. As you can see the flames, you see how they're kind of low to the ground, and see how they're kind of almost looks like the fire's walking. That is the wind just blowing those flames. And, that's how this quickly gets out of control. But red flag warnings are in effect. As I said earlier, these winds are going to continue. These very strong winds are going to continue through about dinner time before they calm. I think overnight tonight. Not go completely calm, but at least die down enough to where this fire concern starts to wane a little bit. Any fire we see today will spread quickly. You just got to avoid doing anything that could cause a spark or flame. Cigarettes out the window, chains on the back of the truck, as we talked about, parking in the grass. Those are all things that could easily start a grass fire just like this. And not to mention, by no fault of anyone, a power line or something like that going down, which can also result in a grass fire.
Yeah, and this is incredible video of the firefighters. I think that's a command truck just pushing through these flames. And this is a difference that I've seen, Justin. The smoke is much darker. It's much darker in these areas as more of this brush seems to be catching fire. And the way that firefighters, we're out at a lot of fires, you can see the water coming out on the side because people may be wondering what are they doing going straight into that. You can see the water hose and they're spraying on each side. So that's why you can see that this truck is moving, kind of turning. At one point, it looked like a semicircle to put this out. And it's a different, I mean, this is different than fighting a house fire. They're trained. They are
strategy.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of strategy involved.
Completely different. The way they work together as a team is completely different. And it's very rare that we get this kind of look at how they're using this strategy. They're using their smaller trucks, and they've just got multiple people on there that know what they're doing. So we're grateful that they're out there in the middle of this, because this looks like it's spreading pretty quickly.
It does. And we're also going to continue to watch, Courtney, that other potential hotspot that I was seeing there right along the Bear and Atascosa line. So that could be another potential grass fire that we're seeing. I'm going to actually update it and see what it looks like. It looks about the same, although it could possibly be growing there. So that could be another grass fire that we could potentially be concerned with. But there's some RVs there, and they're not too far away from those flames.
No, and this is what we were worried about, because it's hard to see on some of the maps that we have what residences are there. Look how close those flames are to that RV. Wow, yeah, this is, and then the wind is just whipping it. So this is likely the first place they evacuated. What we have seen so far is that apartment complex that's set a little bit further out, but this is the first time we're seeing how incredibly close this is. Yeah, we're hearing, let's see. Oh, yep, there's a man standing. Luis, if you could pan over just a little bit, if you can hear me. Yep, there's a man standing over there in front of the RV, and it looks like there's a golf cart. I'm sure that these are fire officials that are trying to tell him to get out of there, because I don't know if he can see on the other side of that RV, but those flames are extremely close. And you can see behind it, there's someone with hoses. We're hoping that people will, heed these warnings. We don't know whether that's someone with the fire service or this is someone who may be, living in one of these areas. But obviously the fire service is going to tell you, don't risk your life. Just please get out of the area. This is the first time we are seeing how close those flames are to property. And Bexar County reported to us just about 20 to 30 minutes ago that property has been damaged. Because it's so rural, the brush is so high, we have not been able to see the damage specifically to any property, so we don't know what kind that is. But since Luis has zoomed out, you can see on the left side that fire, those flames cropping up at the very left side are right behind that RV. So I actually just saw a truck pass through the flames to get to this side. It looks like they're noticing, all of the crews, that this is getting really close, Justin.
Yeah, I think the nerves are probably high there for those people. I want to show a map real quick. If we can go over to our traffic map there, and there's another fire truck. It looks like pulling into that apartment complex. But I want to give people a sense of exactly where this is. So what we're looking at is the traffic map here. And so this is in southern Bexar County, right along 37 and Southton Road. And that's just north or just west of Calaveras Lake, just north of Bronig Lake, where we are seeing this, and right near Dunnup Road. I don't know exactly what plot of land we're looking at here, but from what I can tell with those rows of houses, I think it's somewhere in here that we're seeing that fire. So that is probably affecting Interstate 37 as well, as far as smoke is going and those sort of things. But this fire, again, continues to just sort of burn out of control. And that is concerning, considering how many responders we have there. And a lot of people are still fighting that fire.
Yep, we can see that line continue. It's so hard to put out these fires, Justin, when the wind is this extreme. And the way that I saw these flames earlier, just about 3 minutes ago before we showed this map, they were much closer to the RV. So it looks like clearly that would be the focus right now, is getting ahead of this so that these RVs are not in peril. But it looks like it is still pretty close, but that gap is widening. It looks like the wind is blowing in the opposite direction too. So hopefully that's helping them out. But yeah, that was a little too close for comfort. And like you said earlier, we saw the San Antonio Fire Department, a big truck just pulled up to that apartment complex, which is not far away from this area. But this is the first time that we're seeing these flames get close to property, because this apartment complex that we've been seeing that Luis was able to get on, I'm assuming they are part of this evacuation order. It becomes clear why they had this evacuation so early, because this is not what we had seen. This is on the other side of that.
Wow, that is incredible video.
Yeah.
And guys, if one more time, I'd love to show this again. We'll go back to this video here in just a second, but if we could go over to links 2, I do want to show, I think this is going to be an important map today. So this is a satellite picture where we can see these heat signatures and we can see where there are potential grass fires. And you can count it now, 1, 2, 3, potentially 4. Showing up here. One out near Del Rio, and this one appears to be growing. We continue to get a stronger heat signature off of that. This is the one we're watching right now with the video. There does appear to be another one right on the Bear-Atascosa County line, and then yet another one that has just popped up west of Alice. That looks like a large one as well. It doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't other grass fires out there, but these are the largest ones that we can detect with our satellite technology here. And it looks like we're counting 4 rather significant, or at least large enough fires to be presenting here on our satellite picture. Again, that one there in Bear County seems to be maybe getting, unfortunately, a little bit larger.
Yeah, and I'm joined here by Ernie Zuniga now, jumping in for our coverage. Ernie, you and I have both covered many fires out there, and so you can see, I mean, you've been able to watch as we have the command that's coming in, all of the trucks that are coming in, they're rushing in to help.
Well, on a personal note, my in-laws live in Pleasanton, so I have driven this area, I-37, and my in-laws I know are watching right now. I was just in contact with them to see if they've heard of any. They're not here on Southton Road, but I'm somewhat familiar with this area, and rarely do you drive along 37 most times of the year and not see charred grass or these kinds of things. And so we had a feeling this was a possibility today. I was out in the elements earlier, and so I can attest to just how windy it was, and unfortunately this is playing out here along 37.
Yeah, and so just because you have some insight, you said it's something that's always on the mind over there. So is it typical for these fires to crop up? The wind is so much worse than usual. Justin's been using the word historic, so we know this is kind of an extenuating circumstance, but they kind of know how dry it is out there, I assume?
I mean, my in-laws certainly do. I mean, they're very cautious about that because they do live outside the city limits and everything. And again, but we kind of just comment in passing sometimes as you're driving on 37 outside of 1604 as you get closer to Atascosa County and everything, how often you see on either side of 37 just large chunks of land or real estate that are charred. Or you'll see smoke in the distance sometimes, depending on the time of year. But yeah, you were just holding your breath on a day like today, where you knew, and Justin and Adam talked about the wind so much yesterday and the days leading up to today. And again, I have family in Del Rio as well, and so that's another part of the state. Valverde County and everything that knows all too well about these kinds of things. And so, yeah, I can't say I'm surprised at all to see this play out. Now, this is quite dramatic right here because you don't often see it getting this close to, in this case, a trailer or people where the fire hoses are quite literally coming out.
And we were worried about some of these folks being residents, but it looks like this gentleman that we'd been talking about earlier has some type of communication device. So it looks like he's with the fire service. We do have some updates. The breaking news right now, CPS is reporting 130 outages in the area. That is 19,000 customers. So Justin and I were talking about this through the noon and after. The big concern is these, the power outages, the power poles coming down. That can cause fires, serious fires. So that's a big risk with this wind.
And forgive me, because obviously I'm just coming in on this here. I'm just monitoring social media, and forgive me if you've already talked about this. So the Pleasanton Express, which is the newspaper in Pleasanton, is reporting a grass fire in Jourdanton by the Jourdanton Sports Complex off Highway 97 in Champion Drive.
Is that something you've been able to see, Justin?
Yeah, so that's the one I think we were seeing near I-37 down there, Pleasanton, which I think is affecting traffic there in Pleasanton. Okay. We were showing some roads closed down there. So again, we're starting to see more and more crop up here. And guys, I did want to pass along too, the Weather Service has just put out a special weather statement for low visibility across parts of the hill country because we're getting now a plume of dust moving in. So this is just going to add insult to injury. But know if you're traveling in the hill country, visibility could be seriously reduced because we have this plume of dust, probably that red dust coming in from places like Lubbock and West Texas that are going to be blowing in. Not to mention we have the smoke, and we still just within let's see, the last 10 minutes or so, we had a wind gust of 65 miles per hour out near Comstock, which is just west of Del Rio.
Yeah, and directing your attention back to the shot that we have, this is live. We had just said that it was great that the fire department seemed to have this one right behind this RV a little bit more under control, but this is exactly the difficulty they're having. That fire, again, cropped up right behind that RV. And I mean, he's panning right now.
Yeah,
look at how far this has spread. During our new newscast, Ernie, it was just one little plume of smoke, and we watched it maybe 2 or 3 jumps, and now it is this entire area because of the wind.
Okay, just trying to multitask here, trying to make outreach to someone with the Pleasanton Fire Department right now to get a little more insight here, trying to see if maybe we can get him on the air with us here in just a little bit to give us a little more insight. But yeah, I mean, and obviously we know that we're talking about small, volunteer fire departments in some cases, not the kinds of resources that we would be used to seeing here in San Antonio. And quite literally, you see that gentleman there, sprinting or running, just to show kind of the sense of urgency right now as this is playing out, and just tough to watch right now.
Yeah, and you said something about those smaller fire departments, most volunteer fire departments. So, heroic driving through all of these flames, but this is the reason that we brought up earlier. It shows what a big priority this is, because San Antonio Fire Department did confirm earlier, like we said, that they are the lead agency on this now because they have a lot of manpower, and it was clear when we saw those fire trucks come through, a much larger response. They are coming to help because this is in South Bexar County, but we have seen all types of departments, trucks in here. So it's kind of an all hands on deck situation, especially when they are this close to property.
And you just think about how difficult it is just to physically reach some of these areas, right? I mean, we know 37 is a major highway and Southton, for those of you who are not super familiar with this part of the map, if you will, not far from 1604 on the south part, as I would travel, toward Pleasanton, you would pass the Southton Road exit, Dunop, and other exits there on your way toward 3006 and those kinds of places. But nonetheless, yeah, I mean, it's all hands on deck for all intent and purposes right now.
And guys, you were just talking about the situation down in Pleasanton, so I was able to pull up a TransGuide picture. If you guys want to switch over to Links 1. And this is I-37 and Texas 97, and this is where that fire was reported. Now, we're not seeing it right now, but if you look there, it's very hard to see in this picture because it's small. But if you look there in the distance, it does look like we have some charred areas that cross the interstate. You see that right there?
Yep.
That probably is where that fire was. It looks as though maybe they were able to take care of it. I don't want to say that for sure because we don't know 100% for sure, but it looks like there are some burn areas that crossed over I-37. And when the wind is this strong, these fires can most certainly cross interstates or cross roads. So don't think that a road is a barrier, because it often is not when you have winds like they are today.
But it doesn't appear that highway was shut down there for the moment, because I think some people would be surprised to hear that, that the flames can just jump over the asphalt and a multi-lane highway.
They absolutely can. We had a gust close to 60 miles per hour down there in Pleasanton, so it stands to reason. And you can see that everything's just whipping around right now. These winds are not going to let up, at least not for another couple of hours.
Yeah, and we're getting a picture now. Luis, if you could pan back over so we can see how many RVs are here. Yeah, I mean, this is, I'm looking at almost like 20 in a row at least. And then if we can see further back, it's unbelievable how many people are this close to, look at that. So this is really expansive. Obviously, they're honing in on that one right off to the right on the side. But clearly, there is a lot at stake here. This is more than just, a brush fire that is kind of just burning some grass. There is definitely property on the line. And so we're really glad to see such a large response, see these big agencies coming in, because again, the folks standing right there keeping an eye on this. We saw a truck earlier kind of going straight into the flames, and they had a hose as they were driving, just trying to get out some of these ones that are closer to this RV. But, that's a lot of property that's right there. I mean, I'm talking like a few yards away.
Yeah, and again, just looking at the map here, so this appears to be closer toward 410. I mentioned 1604 earlier. Okay. I mean, it's a lot of real estate and everything. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like you said, I mean, this is not far from, obviously, trailers. There are some businesses, some convenience stores in that area. People who've driven in that part of the county are familiar with what's out there. But of course, a lot of just wide open real estate too. And you can see a lot of it on fire right now.
And from, past fires that we've covered like this, because, this is historic winds, but with grass fires, it is very tempting for people to stay and try to help firefighters, get their hoses out. Please don't do that. If there's an evacuation order, please just let the professionals do their work. That's what they always tell us to pass on to you. Again, CPS is reporting 130 outages, which is 19,000 customers. And so seeing how this started, we didn't see any down power lines. I mean, Justin, you didn't see anything like that since the noon, but
No.
It's entirely possible with this wind for that to happen.
100%. And I always flash back to 2011, the fire in Bastrop. If you remember that one, it was one of the state's biggest wildfires in history. It was started by a down power line. We had very gusty winds and everything just went up in smoke. So power lines can often do that. Again, we don't know if that's what caused this, but it's something as easy as that, or just a spark from anything that can start these fires, and then they can go gangbusters with the winds the way they are.
Yeah, I mean, just the proximity to the property, I think, is what we pay most attention to. But there are, on the other side of this line of fires, there is more on that other side.
Right, and it's not often that we hear about evacuations, right? I mean, we see fires, and they're not uncommon necessarily, but to be this close to property or residential evacuations, a lot of times you think in severe weather and those types of things, but to have an evacuation due to a grass fire, to me, it seems less common.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. I haven't seen a lot of this. And so, we sometimes when we're reporting, we say, it seems obvious. We don't want to, beat you over the head with it. But if you are smoking cigarettes, do this responsibly. We talked earlier, Justin, parking on grass is something in the rural area that sometimes you can't avoid. So if you can avoid that today, starting your car with how dry and windy this is, and of course, burning, that's a no-no, and the chains too. Dragging chains is something we don't think about that
One
sometimes.
spark, yeah.
Yep.
It's you guys are exactly right. And just look how dry that brush is.
Yeah.
And you see the wind whipping. If we can, I want to show the drought monitor, because this is the other part of this. So we have serious drought conditions. This is extreme drought. So about as bad as it gets. We've been in a drought for like 4 years now. So this is just one other element that combines with these very gusty winds and these very dry conditions that we're seeing today that makes this so much worse. In San Antonio, Bexar County, points west, the drought just continues to worsen. We did see a little bit of rain this morning with those passing showers and storms, but it was not near enough. We got 0.06 of an inch at the airport. That is not going to do it. That's not going to keep us from seeing these grass fires. I want to show the view of the city. Now we're looking back down towards the south. We don't really see the smoke plume there. If we do, it's way out there in the distance. But we do see that it's hazy and there's dust being kicked up. It is going to be hazy. It's going to be kind of dusty for the rest of the day with the winds the way they are. We're sitting at 75, but we've got a west wind at 30 miles per hour. Now, that's not the gust. That is the sustained wind at 30. We're seeing gusts now to 45 here in San Antonio, 53 in Hondo, 43 Kerrville, 47 Uvalde, 44 Carrizo Springs. So this is a widespread wind event. Actually, it's not even just here. It's across the entire state. So there are wind issues and fire issues across the state of Texas. We do believe that these winds will start to come down as we head into the late evening hours. So it'll take until dinner time, but you'll start to see these wind gusts coming down. Until that happens, though, I'd say through 4 o'clock, we'll still have the potential to see gusts 40 plus. Red flag warnings continue to be in effect, and for good reason. We've been talking about this for the last couple days, but that fire threat is real, and we are starting to see that come to fruition. These are the peak wind gusts. So these winds have been as high as 62 miles per hour out in Del Rio, 45 here in San Antonio, 52 in Pleasanton. So these winds have just been howling today, and with that low humidity, this is the end result, guys.
All right, Justin, thank you very much. Ernie Zuniga, Courtney Friedman here as we continue our coverage here of this brush fire. Multiple fires that are being reported in the Atascosa, South Bexar County area. And we have an update now from CPS Energy reporting upwards of 184 outages right now, affecting more than 16,000 customers. That's not to say that's related to this particular scene right here, because there have been outages reported all morning long in different parts of the city with the winds and everything. But nonetheless, a lot of people without power right now.
Yeah, and I mean, this is an unfortunate example. It doesn't really matter at this point how it started. When we talk about winds, it's really important with this level of wind that we see the big picture of what could cause another fire, because we really just need to hone in on what's happening and what could make it worse. And this can happen anywhere in this region. So all we know from Bexar County is that this is wind related, that the fire is wind related. We didn't get any more information on that. But if you're just joining us, this area has been evacuated. I-37 and Southton Road. This is South Bexar County, but SAPD has taken over as the lead agency because it's just so big. You can see folks sitting here with hoses. We've seen some of these command vehicles coming through with hoses of their own, obviously larger than the ones we're seeing now. It's just extensive, and how close this is to property for sure.
And you're talking about these trailers, these RVs, if you will, double wides, triple wides that are tens of thousands of dollars in value. And you can see the urgency right now, sprinting and running, and kind of hard to make out exactly what's happening right there, whether they're trying to clear something. But clearly, I mean, in the foreground there, or in the background rather, you can see just the flames. Not very far from that one particular RV that's there.
Yeah, and if you are in a safe position, of course, you are all always so helpful when we are trying to cover big stories like this. If you are in a safe position and you take a picture of this, because we are in this one area where we are safe. Luis Cienfuegos is there, our photographer. But if you have a different vantage point of this, or you see something crop up, tell us how far you can see the smoke. Send them to KSAT Connect. You can go on our app. And it's real easy to send in a picture, and then we may be able to get a bigger viewpoint of how this is affecting people elsewhere. Justin, we know there are several fires that you're looking at.
Yes, so one most notably out in Valverde County, south of Del Rio. That is a big one that continues to put out a pretty good smoke plume. And we've noticed this one. We have, what we can do is we can look with satellite and we can detect heat signatures, and it's a good way for us to look and see where there may be some grass fires. And this one in Bexar County certainly is putting out a pretty good heat signature right now as it continues to burn here between Bronig Lake and Calaveras Lake. Then there is another heat signature that we're starting to notice there at southern Bexar County, right on the Atascosa County line. So we'll continue to watch that one. And as I said, that one out near Del Rio. That one started much earlier this morning. That was the first one we started to see when we were looking for the potential for fires. And that one is still going, putting out again, a significant smoke plume. So that lets us know that this fire is indeed still going. And, I'm starting to see a few slowdowns along 181 on the traffic maps here, too. And I'm wondering if that's from some of the smoke that is blowing in from this fire, which I think is pretty close to Bronig Lake, guys.
Yeah, it wouldn't be too far from the lake for sure. Again, for those of you who've driven by this, you would be familiar with that part. Again, South Bexar County. In my case, like I said, driving to Pleasanton, right there along 37. We're getting reports, Courtney,
yes,
of yet another fire being reported right now.
Yeah, that's at Duke Road and Trumbo Road, and we are being told that structures are on fire. That is sources within law enforcement. We are trying to confirm that as well. We have a KSAT crew on the way, and this is what we don't see as often. And Ernie just touched on this earlier. With these grass fires, we don't really see as much property involved, and this is what's so scary. It's looking like, on our current shot right now here on Southton Road, there is a mad dash to get this fire in control near these mobile homes and double and triple wides. And obviously, if we're hearing about structures on fire at Duke Road and Trumbo Road, we're looking to get more information on that. But this is not isolated to one location.
And that particular location is not far from the Toyota plant.
Okay.
And so again, it's just this, the South San Antonio, if you will, kind of getting picked on right now with these various fires. The one here, again, Duke Road and Trumbo Road. This one on 37 in Southton, another one in the Jourdanton area being reported there near Highway 97. So, and not to mention what Justin said about Del Rio and Valverde County right now. So several active scenes.
But that fire I think you guys are talking about there at Duke Road, that is the one that we were detecting in the Bexar Atascosa County line. It's right there on the county line, and that is the one that I think we're getting that heat signature for. So that does look like a growing fire as well, unfortunately, guys. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, and obviously these efforts are ongoing right now, but just in the time that I've been out here, I mean, does it look like there's much progress being made right now? I mean, they're fighting, these crews are fighting some really tough elements.
Well, it did at first. You know, when we started seeing this at noon, there were big flames, and it looks like they had tamped them down at one point, but now it appears that this fire is starting to grow again, and perhaps, I don't want to say that it's out of control. I hope that it's not, but they're certainly having a hard time keeping this contained.
Yeah, I think this is the point that we're making. Justin's been making. Our weather team in general has been talking about this for days, because as we started the live stream before we actually came on air, it looked like Justin had said that it was kind of tamped down. The smoke was kind of dissipating, and we'd see kind of flare-ups a little bit. And then all of a sudden, look what you're seeing right now. These flames are massive again, and the line is just continuing to grow. So unfortunately, we're seeing this in real time, how dangerous this is, how fast that this is growing. And now a concern across the area is that there are 184 outages that CPS has reported. That's more than 16,000 customers without power right now. We're hoping that's not because of down power lines. We're trying to get more information about what's caused those power outages. But we do know that some massive fires in the past have started with a down power line. What you can see right now is the San Antonio Fire Department massively helping this effort, so much so that they're the lead agency right now, because they do have a lot of manpower, a lot of trucks to help.
And right on cue, you have another unit there that has shown up. And two, I know the camera may not, accurately be able to give you the scale. I mean, you're talking about some of these flames that are quite tall, and you can see this one firefighter that has climbed on the top of the truck there, maybe to get a better vantage point, an aerial view, if you will, of what they're up against. Because, again, a lot of this area is difficult to drive to, much less trying to get a fire truck into where these fires are. That's where some of these smaller vehicles that can maneuver a little bit more easily can get there. But obviously these trucks have more water and better, more resources, if you will. But again, it's all hands on deck right now.
Yeah, and this brush is so tall, which is part of why this is dangerous for, obviously the residents right there. It's so close, but also the firefighters. So we talked about this earlier, and we've, seen a lot of fire responses. This is a very specific strategy that they have when fighting a grass fire, especially this close to property. So it's good to see. We're seeing a lot of communication. Yeah, we're looking right now. There's a big plume of black smoke right now. We are praying that is not property, but it did just go up pretty high. So that's going to be the main area of concern, obviously. So at the very back of this line of property is one specific RV that's kind of set a little further back. Okay, we can see that right now. So this is not the line that was so close to that one RV. It looks like it has passed it. That's how quickly this is moving, guys. It's past it, and it's already at that tree line almost. We can't see past that large building, but it didn't look before, Ernie, correct me if I'm wrong, but it didn't look like there was another RV past that. But of course, we can't really see from this view.
Difficult to tell. And again, when you see black smoke, that would indicate just preliminarily that a structure or something obviously has caught fire. That may not be brush or vegetation, if you will. But yeah, so difficult to see, what's beyond that particular RV right now. But we saw, based on just the body language of the people that were there scrambling around and running in some cases, you just, that gives you a sense of just how close, how perilous this is for this particular group of people that are out there quite literally trying to fight this right now.
Yeah, there's a huge sense of urgency. There's a lot of digging going around too. So, we talk about the strategy. That's clearly part of it. But also we have seen what might be a little bit encouraging for property damage versus some brush damage. We did see, as soon as the fire would spread just solely in the brush, since we've been reporting on this since 12:30, there were some plumes of black smoke, and it was just brush. Maybe it was a heavier area or thicker brush. So hopefully that's what we've been seeing. The flames have not gotten so much taller than that building behind us, and it looks like it's tampered down a little bit. But yeah, there's a lot of black smoke behind there. So we're going to try to figure out if that is property. But we know that at another fire that cropped up over by the Toyota plant area that we were just talking about, Duke Road and Trumbo Road, We believe that there are structures on fire there. That's from sources that we have within law enforcement. Again, trying to make some more clear confirmations on that. And we do, again, have a crew on the way. We know that the public information officers for these departments and agencies are very busy right now. So as soon as we can get some confirmation from them. But just to hear that there are structures possibly on fire at that fire is very concerning, especially seeing how close this one is to these homes and RVs.
Right. Again, and again, I'm multitasking here, trying to make outreach to someone at the Pleasanton Express, the newspaper there, because they have been streaming on their Facebook page. It's a small newspaper, obviously a small media outlet, but they've got this situation that they've been monitoring, the situation in Jourdanton, if you will, on top of all the other news of the day in Atascosa County. But just trying to make outreach, and you touched on it earlier. Certainly don't want anyone to put themselves in any kind of danger, but if they are in a safe place, or you have any specific information about someone in this area who might be affected by this, someone who may own one of these RVs, by no means would we want you to approach this or put yourself in any kind of danger. But if you have that information that you can pass along to us, we'd be happy to pass along to our viewers as well.
Yeah, what we're just seeing right now does not look promising. These are pretty large flames that have become pretty high with very black smoke. So getting really close to this property. That's also why we ask if you are in a safe place, sometimes you're somewhere that's farther away. You can see this from very far away. Justin even has it on some of his radar equipment. If you are able to get some pictures or video and send it to us, you guys are always helpful as part of telling these big stories. We can only have so many eyes from certain locations, but this smoke is carrying real far, and yeah, it's spreading so fast. Justin, is this looking bigger to you on your map that's heat monitored, right?
It is. Well, at least it's holding its size, and it's very interesting to watch those videos and just watch that flame just walk. It looks like it's walking or running with the wind because it is just pushing it so quickly. And these fires can spread. I mean, they can cover hundreds of feet in a matter of minutes, and that's the scary part. So this is the heat signature I was talking about. So from space through satellite, we can look and see where there are heat signatures, and we can detect where we think we have fires. This is the one we're watching right now. It is rather large, but this one that you guys talked about near Duke and Trumbo Road, also starting to show some signs that it may be growing a little bit. These two fires plus the one out in Valverde County are the three that we're watching right now. That doesn't mean there aren't more or there couldn't be more. So let's be extra careful as the afternoon wears on with these very gusty winds.
And we're about to head to break, but we did just want to mention that we're hearing that some of the schools are monitoring the fires. So we will keep you updated on that. Make sure you stay with us. Welcome back to our breaking news coverage. We've been on for a while, originally talking about a now pretty big wildfire, grass fire off 37 and Southton Road. And since then, we've reported about multiple other fires. Right before we went to break, we heard that there are some school districts there's some schools in the area that may be texting parents that they've been watching for fires. And this is clearly going to be an issue, seeing how fast these fires are spreading.
Yeah, we have made outreach to East Central ISD, which is one district that comes to mind. Nothing to report yet, so certainly don't want to raise any concerns or anything, but we are monitoring multiple streams of information that are coming in from that part of the area. South Bexar County, one fire near the Toyota plant, a fire, the 37 in Southton Road, which is probably the most active of the scenes, if you will, right now, just based on the proximity to this particular RV. And these San Antonio fire we just saw a few moments ago showed up. But to get their giant fire truck to that location would be challenging, to say the least. And so efforts are underway to get water over there, obviously, and firefighting tools over there. But there's that, and then there was the other fire in the Jourdanton area being reported, and one in Del Rio to the west. And so several active scenes that we're monitoring right now.
And it is interesting to see how it swept through, Justin, during the noon. You had, right when we were about to go on air, you had seen that Del Rio fire grow.
Correct.
And that was the first one. So clearly that wind is making its way. And I mean, look at this black smoke here behind this house. where we clearly can see that the firefighters are focused on. If you haven't been with us, there is a line here of RVs and double and triple wides here. There are probably about 20. Oh yeah, Luis is zooming out. Thank you. Look at how many properties there are. There is a lot at risk here. This is not just a grass fire, but I mean, he's still panning. So this is an entire neighborhood that is at risk. They have been evacuated. That evacuation order went in, I would say, at least an hour ago. So they were on top of this. At first, it was Bexar County that showed up, and the smaller volunteer fire departments. SAPD has taken over. Ernie, that does not look good.
No, the black smoke is never a good sign. And unfortunately, just in the time that we've been on the air with you, it's intensified. And
it looks like that property's on fire. Yeah, at least.
God, that the fire has grown seemingly multiple times in size just in the last few minutes that we've been with you here.
Yeah, and I mean, this started so small, and we watched it. Justin, you caught that on TransGuide. Originally during the noon, it was just one little small bit of fire, and now look at this. I mean, it would seem, and of course we can't see from this view, but it would seem that looked like some property did go up in flames. Luckily, this area, we want to reiterate, has been evacuated. So the people that you see may be plain clothes, but a lot of these are volunteer fire departments. So we don't want you to be concerned that there are just residents out and about. We do see some people, in this gentleman right here has been out there in command.
And you can see it looks like some firefighters there in uniform, but some people might be joining us wondering right now, why are they not moving these RVs? And that is because these people have been evacuated, so there is no one there to move them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that explains that right now. But again, it's just so difficult and kind of a helpless sense here on the news desk as these flames have really intensified in just the last few minutes.
Oh, and these people are so close, our first responders. This is just, I mean, the bravery right in front of us to be fighting this and trying to keep property safe. Of course, Ernie, as you said, the people come first, so I'm so glad that they've evacuated, and we can see them back off. These crews here back off when the flames crop up, but at some point, you know, you got to get those trucks in there, and it's very, very difficult with brush this large.
Yeah, again, it's not paved streets and you know, 2-lane roads in a lot of cases. These are single-lane roads, dirt paths, if you will, not easily accessible, especially when you're trying to get a large fire truck in there.
Yeah, and Justin, you've been talking about these gusts are, if people are just joining us, 40 plus.
They're intense, and if you guys could get word from Luis, I'd like to know exactly where he is at the moment. If he could give us an exact location, because I think what we're looking at here is the Bronig Lake RV Resort. I think that's where we're looking back towards. And if that's the case, that is just east of 37 there.
But to the left, I was going to say, when Luis had panned over to the left, there's a highway.
Apartment complex.
Okay.
I'm just trying to make sure exactly what's, they're new apartment complexes, so I got to double check with the management, but I'm on the 3rd floor.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to get.
And Luis, are the people in the apartment complex evacuated, or are they safe right now?
So they're safe right now. The apartment manager just told me that she is talking to PD or somebody with the fire department just to double check if they need to evacuate. But apparently it sounded like maybe they might just evacuate just for precautionary reasons. So as of right now, I mean, it keeps on spreading. I mean, you can tell right here, it's coming towards us.
Yeah.
There's another one here. It doesn't stop coming, and this line has continued to move closer and closer to us. And so she's kind of worried, but at the same time, it's all up to the fire department or the police department to kind of notify us and let us know if they need to evacuate or if I need to evacuate for that hand, you know.
Right. Yeah. No, thank you for that. And so you are in, just to clarify, you were in somebody's apartment. We saw you with some women earlier who were on the balcony. Are you in someone's apartment, or is it on the side?
So this apartment is vacant.
Okay.
So it was, the property manager was nice enough to open it up for me, and she gave me access to the balcony where I can have a vantage point here. But while they were here, they were talking to residents just to let them know to keep their phones intact, just to make sure. Have you notified your residents by any chance?
No, not yet. We are contemplating it right now. We're probably going to drive to the RV place right now.
You want to go check the RV place?
We're going to go.
Do you know anybody at the RV place right now? The regional? Okay, can you let us know as soon as you find out? If you know anything?
Yeah,
So,
Luis right now is talking
what I
to the
just found
apartment
out is,
manager. He is on the 3rd floor of an apartment. And this was the complex that Justin and Stephanie and I during the noon, that was the only structure we could see from the vantage point of TransGuide, which is where we found this original fire. And we're glad that Luis is safe up there. And that area has not been evacuated. So, of course, he is safe. But he said that apartment manager said that they are, staying on top of this and letting people know that they're going to be checking on this RV park as well. Hopefully, she'll be careful when heading over there. I know the command post will let her know how close she can get.
Let's go ahead and take a look, if we can, guys, real quick at some of the wind gusts that we're seeing right now. I want to get you updated on that. And we are continuing to see gusts 45 miles per hour here in San Antonio. That is some of the highest gusts we've seen so far. So the winds continue to increase, not decrease, and that's not a good sign. Curvo, we've had a gust just recently of 49 miles per hour, gusting to 43 in Hondo, gusting to 45 in Pleasanton. So the winds are still howling, and it's that westerly wind that is drawing in some very, very dry air. And the relative humidity continues to be, in some cases, below 20%. We often use that as a threshold for fire conditions. When the relative humidity is below 20% and you have winds as strong as they are, that is the perfect setup, unfortunately, for wildfires. And that's exactly what we're seeing. And oh, by the way, we've been in a drought for the better part of 3 years now, and we are continuing to be within this area of extreme drought. So these are all factors that are adding into the misery here with this fire, and the fact that we are seeing several of those around the area today. Drought conditions have been worse for the state right where we are. I mean, we're getting the worst of it, that's for sure. So as we go outside, we're still looking to the south, and it's hazy, but most of the city is not experiencing smoke, so that's good. We do have a little bit of dust in the air, but most of San Antonio is doing okay. Temperatures in the upper 70s, but we've got that sustained wind out of the west at 30 miles per hour, and again, gusting higher than that. So when do these winds calm? I think it's going to take until probably 5, 6 o'clock tonight for these winds to finally come down below that 40-degree gust mark. We'll still see some gusts, so I think 4 o'clock. So this is still going to be a fire that's going to be hard to take care of in these conditions. And I would say over the next hour or so, guys, we're going to continue to see gusts 40, maybe up to 50 miles per hour.
Wow.
All right, Justin, thank you. We're getting a couple of updates here in real time right now. The first one from the East Central Independent School District just heard back from their public information officer, Brandon Oliver, who reports a brush fire. This is the one you're looking at here. It's near Donop Road, which Southtown and Donop Road intersect and are right there. Old Corpus Christi Road. This is the fire that's being reported by San Antonio Fire Department. No campuses in East Central ISD, he says, are in immediate danger. Classes continue as normal right now, but some bus routes may be affected. So they are actively monitoring that situation to the extent that the Transportation Department is prepared to contact parents directly if their child's route is impacted. At the moment, there is no interruption in service, but should that happen in East Central ISD, the Transportation Department will be reaching out directly to parents.
Yeah, and Ernie, we have a new update too over in Poteet. We are hearing because there are so many power outages, they are closing schools. That happened a little earlier, and they are also closing city offices. So if you are in the Poteet area, the schools and city offices are closing. We've been reporting about these power outages for a while now. At about 2:15, it was 184 outages from CPS specifically. More than 16,000 customers were out. We're reaching out to Poteet ISD for specific details, but right now we're hearing the schools and city offices are closing because of the power outages, and they're real nervous about this.
Right, and as we continue to monitor this fire here, the update on the power outages, the numbers are trending in the wrong direction, by the way. In terms of CPS Energy, 213 outages now affecting more than 18,000 customers. So that's 2,000 more higher than what we reported in the last half hour as well. We have an update from the Lytle police chief just talking about concerns with the winds there causing power flicking and outages everywhere, and that is affecting the traffic lights. Many of these towns, they're 1-2 stoplight towns in some cases. And it's just a reminder here, and this is from the police chief in Lytle, that obviously if you come to an intersection and the traffic light is off and there is no law enforcement there to direct traffic, that you treat that as a 4-way stop sign, because unfortunately they're seeing cases where the traffic lights are going out.
Yeah, that's a good piece of information. So many of these things you just don't think of. And, you know, just to remind you guys, we're covering so many of these fires. We're keeping watch. We've got crews out at multiple locations. We have on our website articles on all of this. So we're continuing to give you some updated information as we go along with this breaking news coverage. But I just wanted to make sure that y'all knew that you can go on our website and we have a lot of this information.
One other bit of information just in from East Central ISD. Again, to be very clear, no students have been affected in East Central ISD right now, and transportation officials are prepared to reach out directly to parents. Brandon Oliver, the public information officer, is just reporting there in East Central ISD. They have cleared an office building. He calls it an old office building that's been cleared there. There were staff members in that building, no students, so no students affected at all in any way in East Central ISD, but out of an abundance of caution, they've cleared an older office building there tied to East Central ISD.
Yeah, and it's a really good point. Just the precautions that need to be taken because we're seeing so many of these fires crop up, to just really be aware of your surroundings, especially if you're on the south end of town where we see a lot of this happening. You know, if you start seeing flames, and you don't have to wait for an evacuation notice, obviously, you know, these folks, but if you feel like your home is close or in danger, then you make sure to keep yourself safe, and please let authorities know, because obviously somebody called this fire that this is the big one that we're following, the I-37 in Southton Road. We clearly saw that somebody called that in because they got there when it was still pretty small, and now look what's happened.
And what tends to happen too sometimes, and I'm guilty of this myself, you get distracted. You see the smoke in the distance while you're driving on the highway right now. We're approaching the time when schools will start to be let out in various parts of the city. And no doubt a lot of eyes will be drawn to the south side where you're going to see smoke. Or you might see, you know, something in the distance and wonder, well, what's happening over there? But and as Courtney mentioned, there are several scenes right now being monitored. Not to mention the one that we touched on earlier in Val Verde County to the west in the Del Rio area. So unfortunately, as I mentioned, the numbers seem to be trending in the negative direction right now.
Yeah, that's what we thought would happen, unfortunately. Some really good news that I'm seeing personally as we're looking at this same shot from I-37 and Southton Road in South Bexar County, those flames that looked like it could have been on property that we don't know for sure. Look at this shot now. I don't see any flames right now. And if so, they are much smaller. They've died down. So it's really looking that there's, at least right now, a little bit of containment. We saw how close these fire crews are. Luis has that shot over there where we see the flames closer to that grassy area. But I don't know if I'm seeing any to the left of that. Yeah, maybe a little bit, but a lot smaller than it was.
For sure. And just again, so this vantage point that you're looking at right now from our photographer, Luis, who is there, he's on the third floor of an apartment complex. We're told that these are brand new apartments called the Southton Apartments, which were just recently constructed. And so, some people there may not be terribly familiar with this particular property, but that's allowing Luis to be so high up right now to be able to monitor this from a safe distance. Yeah,
and we're talking about a safe distance. We have another crew on scene, and Alexis is telling us that they moved the media back to the Valero because this is definitely something that is moving very quickly. So, usually when there's some danger, they make sure the media is at a safe distance. So it's good to know that they've got that. But, Luis is there on the third floor, and if he were to get an evacuation notice, then obviously he would go to safety. But it looks like there's some good distance between him and those flames. But again, we haven't really seen what I was interested in watching for. We haven't really seen a big change in direction.
Right.
What I've been seeing, at least for the last 45 minutes or so, is that it's blowing in one main direction. But I mean, look at that line. As soon as we say that one area is contained, this is the nature. This is what we're talking about here. It's so difficult to watch because you know how hard these crews are working. And one gust at 42 miles per hour, Justin was saying, will crop that right back up.
Indeed. So kind of to reset here for those of you who might just be joining us right now, and there is that John Paul?
That's John Paul.
That's John Paul Barajas there on one of the upper floors, getting set to potentially join us here in just a little bit. These Southton Apartments, which again geographically, if you're looking at a map, this is south, and we'll bring John Paul in here. So you're south of 410, right along I-37 as you would head toward Pleasanton, if you will. But John Paul is ready to join us and bring us up to speed on what you're seeing from where you are, sir.
Oh, it is a chaotic scene, and the entire drive down to this area, there's fire trucks coming in, and fire trucks from all over. I saw one from Travis County, saw one that said Waco, so it's really all hands on deck here in the South San Antonio area. And I know y'all been looking at it all afternoon. I was watching the stream as I drove up here, but you can see just how many RVs there really are. There's dozens, and you can see that flame to the right is only getting bigger and bigger as we've been monitoring it the entire time, the entire drive up here. But if we continue going to the right, Luis, over to the other side of the balcony, this stretches so far, and you can see how much devastation and vegetation is already burned through right there, and there's still fire spots. And Luis, if you can come forward, I want to show this other apartment complex here on the right hand side. So there's two complexes. We're at one, and the one out here on the right side corner is where a lot of the fire command post is at. I was there just for a brief moment. Obviously a lot of moving parts, a lot of people doing very important jobs, but there was burn marks where we were standing at that command post just from the fire. Obviously with these types of winds, they try and contain it as much as they can, but one gust can pick up one spark and you have another fire in a completely different location. So this is a very active and dangerous situation. We had a photographer come, they pushed her back, they said they're keeping some media further away. So this scene is, unfortunately, looks like it's growing, and firefighters are doing the best they can to contain it and keep it as calm as can possibly be given these dangerous situations and circumstances with the high winds and dry vegetation.
Yeah, John Paul, what we've been trying to figure out is if I-37 at any point is shut down. What did you find?
Not from my drive from about the Southtown area. It is not. There was kind of closed down to one or two lanes at a portion, but that was just because of a construction crew and they were moving along the way, so it wasn't a full close down. But so far, no closures due to the fire at this point.
All right, so John Paul Barajas reporting again from the Southtown Apartments, which are very new, and they are a luxury complex. Technically, again, just to be specific geographically, they're in Elmendorf, but they are listed, I'm just looking online here, they're listed as a luxury living a residential community that is brand new. And we had a screenshot or a text correspondence from a resident who lives there at the apartment complex. Again, they've been evacuated, but she sent a screenshot. She received an alert on her phone, an evacuation alert, presumably from one of the law enforcement agencies there in the area. But and you already alluded to this, these residents have been evacuated for a little while now.
Yeah, and I don't know, John Paul, if you were able to see if he was able to see. Okay. Well, we're going to check back in with him about what he can see on the road. But I think the most important view is the one we're looking at, obviously. This area where the flames are now is a little bit forward. So it's possible that the winds have shifted gears. But again, yeah, right there. We're finally seeing that come forward, which is something we have not seen before. Before, that line of fire was behind that RV you're looking at is on the very edge of this RV park. And now for the first time, we're seeing that fire move forward. Good news, I guess, if you could say something like that, it is further away from the property that we're seeing. So it's not heading right there towards the other RVs. But I mean, just watching this fire spread has just been incredible. It's really scary to see how quickly it's spreading. And right there is what we were talking about earlier. Yeah. Just because you're seeing black smoke doesn't mean it's property. There are some really thick areas of vegetation is what I'm assuming, because sometimes you'll see that kind of whitish gray smoke and then all of a sudden this big plume of black smoke will go up in the air. And we're assuming that that whole area is grass and not seeing any property right there. But this is what we've been seeing since 12:30 during the noon show. Justin simply was looking at a TransGuide camera and saw a little bit of flames, so we put our attention towards it, and look at this now. It's a big enough situation. John Paul just said Travis County and Waco fire departments are here. That's a big deal.
So that gives you a sense of just kind of the urgency right now, where we're quite literally, I've said it a few times already, all hands on deck, even if that means from outside of Bexar County and beyond here. And again, it's approaching 3 o'clock here in a few minutes, where kids will be getting out of school and parents will be leaving their houses to go pick up their kids, and we'll see this smoke, no doubt, and wonder what's happening. But we are monitoring this, probably the most extreme of all the fires that we're monitoring right now, because there are a number of places that are on fire literally right now.
Yeah, and one of those, I'm glad you brought that up, because we just want to make sure, because it's near the Toyota plant area. The Duke Road and Trumbo Road is one where we had heard from inside sources with law enforcement that structures were on fire. We are getting crews to that area too. And I know we said that a little while ago, but John Paul brought up that really good point that it is difficult to get to these places. And we're hearing about, first responders flooding to certain areas very early because of our scanners that we have. However, it's still difficult for our crews to get places because roads are being shut down, and obviously the emergency vehicles come first when it comes to getting to these areas. So we are still trying to get updates about what types of structures may or may not be on fire at Duke and Trumbo roads, but we do have a crew on the way there as well. But clearly, the main focus right now on I-37 in Southton, I'm seeing way more people around this RV than we saw it when it was just one person running around trying to, gain control of that.
And more people with fire gear on, if you will, just to suggest that some of these first responders have been able to finally get equipment into that area. And as you said, for a while now, we had not seen the flames now in the foreground of that particular RV right there. And again, the reason why it's still there is because these people have been evacuated. Well, why haven't they moved these? Well, they can't move them because there's nobody there to move them. The residents have long been evacuated. And again, if you're just joining us, the camera shot that you're seeing right now is coming from the top of a brand new luxury apartment complex there on Southton Road near Dunup, to the east of just east of I-37 as you look at it on a map. And all those residents in the apartment complex have been evacuated as well.
And we're keeping an eye on all of these areas. We just to make sure, if you're joining us, Poteet at about 2:35 is when I marked this down. We heard that Poteet has so many power outages that they're closing schools and city offices. So if you're in Poteet in that area, that's why a lot of those places are closed. Ernie, what was the latest CPS numbers? Because it went from, like Ernie said, it's moving in the wrong direction. Earlier this afternoon, it was 184 outages, which was more than 16,000. Right. Where are we at now?
We were at 213 outages affecting 18,000 customers. Okay, went slightly down. Good. 201 outages affecting about 17,000. And again, that's not necessarily just fire related or anything like that. It could be wind related or something from earlier in the day. But we've heard about, again, power outages as it relates to traffic lights being out, and the concern there for people who are out driving right now that they might come across an intersection where a traffic light is not working.
Yeah, and it is really promising, and I'm really happy to see some of these areas like Poteet setting a good example to be proactive in this because of the power issues. Okay. Oh, that's great news. We're just hearing from our producer that we have the crews on scene. John Paul is out there. He said that no structures have been burned. Because when Ernie and I were looking at that earlier, wow, that fire that just came smoking up and shooting up behind that one building made us really nervous that something was on fire.
That's pretty remarkable to think, if you were with us just a half an hour ago, how dramatic the flames were. Now, again, no one's out of the woods, pardon the pun, right now, because these fires, again, are now in the foreground, if you will, in front of these RVs. But we saw people quite literally scrambling, running, throwing, presumably digging little trenches or just whatever they could with their hands, and bare hands in some cases, to try to deflect the fire. And it appears for the moment that those efforts were successful.
Yeah, and because of the vantage point that we have with Luis and now John Paul, it's pretty incredible. It's very rare to be able to see this entire strategy and the entire coverage of these fire crews. We have seen amassed fire crews. There are far more people, but just to see that, hands on the ground, digging and making sure that the debris is cleared. I mean, just earlier at noon, we were saying clear the debris around your house because you just never know. It's pretty incredible to see how all of these crews are coming together regardless of what fire department they're from.
I was just going to say, it looks like that gentleman has a water hose in his hand right now.
Yeah.
He's just spraying whatever he can just as a preventative measure because he's not very far from the flames. And you can still see just the branches there as they're moving in the wind. And as Courtney's alluded to, the entire time we've been on, if you're looking at the screen, the flames and the smoke are moving from left to right.
Yeah.
And that has not changed since we've been on the air.
Yeah, not that I've seen. And I mean, obviously, Justin was talking about where the winds were traveling, but it seems like they're so gusty that, it looks like they haven't changed. I mean, and we can make that assumption because it's so easy to see. Justin described it as the fire walking or running. And I thought that I hadn't heard that. I thought that was very a good description because you can see when that wind gust comes, it is absolutely sideways. Those flames are sideways. And it's just showing, I mean, we're talking 41, 42 mile per hour gusts. Just incredible that, these folks are out there right in the middle of this because this is very dangerous.
And we saw one camera shot earlier where it appeared that the flames had gone over the highway, right?
Yeah.
And which obviously is not impossible, but just to show you how quickly something like that can happen. But again, we've got Adam Caskey in the house, and he's going to join us here in just a few minutes. Justin did fantastic work, and we appreciate him helping us out here with this coverage because the entire weather team has called this for a number of days now. We knew the winds were going to be an issue today, and we had our fingers crossed that we weren't going to see something like this, and unfortunately, that was not the case.
Yeah, and obviously tracking these winds, Justin told us earlier, and Adam will tell us the same thing, that it's not going to be till around dinner time till these serious winds die down. So, I mean, this is when Ernie says it can jump over a road. We saw that in Malibu. We've seen that in California on much larger roads than these roads. So please don't be fooled by thinking you're on the freeway, because this is some serious wind that we're talking about. So just make sure you're keeping yourself safe in that sense.
And we know that first responders are they have their hands full right now, so they may not have law enforcement available to direct traffic or man an intersection with a traffic light that doesn't work. So it's kind of on you, if you're going to be driving in that area, to just be aware of what you might encounter when you're out there.
Yeah, and John Paul had some really good points. It was really hard. It took them a long time to get there because there are so many emergency vehicles. I mean, I feel like everywhere we look, if you look at these, each side has the vehicles kind of spread without this brushy area. But yes, we can see that's a great shot too. This freeway is open. 37.
That's 37.
That's 37. Right. That's 37, and it is open. So right now, it's clear that a bunch of crews are on scene, command posts are set up. So if they thought that this was dangerous to the freeway, they would be shutting this down. But right now, it seems pretty far away, speaking in terms of how far the freeway is. But it is moving pretty quickly, so we know that is something that's on their mind.
Well, and they did move the media. They did move the media to, there's a Valero nearby right there at that intersection. I believe there's a Valero on one side of the highway and then a Shell gas station on the other side. So, the media is being staged over there right now, and this does not appear to be ending anytime soon.
Right, and so I know that we were on our streaming on KSAT Plus and KSAT.com. We jumped here on air just to make sure everyone was able to get this important coverage, but we are going to end our on-air broadcast, but we will still be covering this on KSAT Plus, so please be sure to switch on over if you are not streaming already, and thanks so much for joining us.